Donald Trump threatened Russia with an economic war and called Lavrov's statement about the illegitimacy of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy nonsense. He made these statements during a meeting with members of his cabinet. Responding to a question about whether Vladimir Putin has a deadline to agree to bilateral talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, Trump said,
"This won't be a world war, but an economic war, and an economic war, that would be bad. It would be bad for Russia and for Ukraine. I don't want that."
The US president stated that he is very serious about his intentions if he has to take such action, once again reminding that thousands of people die in war. The US president noted that he would seek a personal meeting between the leaders of Russia and Ukraine because he wants everything to come to an end. In response to a journalist's remark that Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said Putin would not sign a peace agreement with Zelenskyy considering him illegitimate, Trump replied,
"It doesn't matter what they say. It's all nonsense. They're all just playing to the audience."
Trump also stated that the US would increase arms supplies to Washington's NATO allies, who are currently providing military assistance to Ukraine.
"We are no longer involved in funding Ukraine. We are involved in stopping the war, in ending the killing. NATO is funding the war. We are not funding anything."
U.S. Presidential Special Envoy Stephen Witkoff stated at a cabinet meeting that the United States hopes the war in Ukraine will end by the end of 2025. According to him, the American side will organize meetings this week regarding the Ukrainian settlement. Witkoff said that Russia has put forward a peace proposal for discussion, which concerns the Donetsk region. Washington believes that the current stage of negotiations could be a step toward ending the war. A new earthquake with a magnitude of 6 has occurred in Russia. During the night of August 27, tremors were felt by residents of Makhachkala, Derbent, Kaspiysk, and Khasavyurt, as well as in Aktau, Kazakhstan, and Azerbaijan. According to the European Mediterranean Seismological Center, the epicenter of the earthquake was in the Caspian Sea, 28 kilometers east of the city of Izberbash at a depth of 10 kilometers. In Dagestan, local residents went outside, fearing new tremors. The moment of the earthquake was caught during a football broadcast. The event was also captured by a surveillance camera installed in the southern part of the republic. According to the Regional Ministry of Emergency Situations, there were no casualties or destruction. Emergency services did not receive any calls with complaints from the public. Cracks began to appear in apartments after the earthquake in Dagestan.
"Just so you understand, see over there, do you see it? A piece of concrete fell from there. This crack just appeared now. Over there and over there above the window."
The government of Dagestan has warned that during underground tremors it is necessary to stay away from windows and stoves and to beware of falling or toppling objects. This is already the second earthquake off the coast of Kamchatka in the past month. Let us recall, on July 30th, one of the most powerful earthquakes occurred on the peninsula. The natural disaster damaged a Russian military base for nuclear submarines capable of carrying nuclear weapons. In particular, it was affected by a tsunami, as evidenced by a high-resolution satellite image. The images show that during the tsunami, the pier of the naval base in the close city of Vilyuchinsk was damaged. The tremors of the Earth's crust also awakened the volcanoes in Kamchatka. For the first time in 600 years, the Krasheninnikov volcano has begun to erupt. The president of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, gave an interview to the Al Arabiya TV channel where he spoke about the conflict with Russia, the Zengezur corridor, and relations with Armenia and Washington. According to Aliyev, the downing of a civilian aircraft by Russian forces and the reaction of Russian officials to the incident have caused great disappointment and dissatisfaction in Azerbaijan.
"They struck the plane twice. Only the professionalism and courage of the pilots allowed the plane to land, and fortunately, it landed in Kazakhstan and not in Russia. It was damaged by a Russian air defense system. First of all, the plane should not have been shot down at all. However, it was a tragic mistake."
The president of Azerbaijan cited as an example an incident during the Second Karabakh War, when Azerbaijan accidentally shot down a Russian helicopter that had approached the country's border. According to Aliyev, Azerbaijan immediately paid compensation to the families of the deceased pilots and to the Ministry of Defense.
"We have not seen anything like that from Russia. We expected that sooner or later the investigation would be completed. But then these unfounded attacks on Azerbaijanis in Russia began. 2 people were tortured and killed, and the subsequent official information stated that they had died of a heart attack."
Aliyev also emphasized that from the very first days of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Azerbaijan has supported and continues to support Ukraine's territorial integrity. Ilham Aliyev also noted that the document on peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan, initialed in Washington, is based on the Azerbaijani vision for resolving relations between the two countries. Aliyev emphasized that if Armenia withdraws from the document signed in Washington, it will seriously worsen relations between Armenia and the United States. Speaking about the Zangezur corridor, the president of Azerbaijan stated that it will become an important transportation link connecting continents.
Now that President Trump has given his name to the Zangezur corridor, I am confident that it will be implemented in the near future. We are now almost at the final stage of infrastructure development. The projects will be ready, possibly in 2 or 3 years.
Ilham Aliyev also emphasized that Azerbaijan can increase the volume of gas supplies to Syria.
An explosion occurred on the Ryazan-Moscow oil pipeline in Russia. This was reported by Union, citing sources in the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. The transportation of petroleum products to the Russian capital has been halted indefinitely. It is reported that on August 26th, a powerful explosion occurred in the Ryazan region on a main oil pipeline that supplies oil to Moscow. Intelligence sources note that after the explosion on the section of the main oil pipeline, a large fire broke out. Emergency vehicles, law enforcement agencies, and repair crews arrived at the scene. It is known that since 2018, the pipeline has been repurposed for the supply of automotive gasoline by the company Transneft, which supplies the army of the aggressor country. According to sources from the publication familiar with Ukrainian intelligence, representatives of Transneft are currently calculating the losses. Ukrainian Armed Forces serviceman and political scientist Kirilo Sazonov commented on the pipeline explosion on his YouTube channel.
The fact is that fuel shortages in Russia are already happening in Crimea, in Primorsky Krai, in Vladivostok. That's considered normal. But when it comes to Moscow, the pain of Muscovites is always a bit more genuine.
Sazonov notes that solving the gasoline shortage problem will be difficult, since the railway network of the aggressor country is overloaded. Moreover, alternative supply routes are not safe.
The paralysis of Russia without gasoline is very, very impressive. And the fact that Moscow will feel it firsthand, Moscow specifically, adds a special piquancy to this situation.
It should be noted that after drone strikes on the oil refineries of the aggressor country, a fuel collapse is intensifying in Russia. For example, the sale of AI-92 gasoline has been suspended for residents of the Kuril district. And since August 20th, restrictions on gasoline sales have been in effect in the Kurils, no more than 10 liters per person. Residents of Primory, Zabaikalsky Krai, as well as the temporarily occupied Ukrainian Crimea, are also experiencing fuel shortages. Flooding in Sakhalin. Due to heavy rains, rivers on the island have overflowed their banks. Streets and houses are flooded, roads and bridges have been washed out. Local residents are showing the aftermath of the disaster. For example, bus passengers say they almost drowned because the roads were washed away.
We were on this bus and it just drove into a ditch. We got out here. That's it, everything is getting flooded here. The greenhouse started floating away.
According to the Telegram channel Baza, the Nevelsky district of Sakhalin was hit the hardest by the flooding. Due to the rain-induced flood, a state of emergency has been declared there. In the Nevelsky district, the Kazachka River has overflowed its banks and is flowing through the streets. In the village of Kolkoznaya, about 70 houses are at risk of being completely flooded. In addition, the water swept away greenhouses and outbuildings and also destroyed a bridge. It is reported that rescuers have evacuated 37 people. Furthermore, a mud flow occurred near the village of Selezneva, as a result of which the Nevelsk-Gornozavodsk road is blocked. According to the Telegram channel Shot, the neighboring island of Maniran, which is a popular tourist destination near Sakhalin, has also been flooded. It is noted that due to the flooding, there is no electricity or water on the island, and mud flows have destroyed several areas. Maniran is closed to tourists until September 7. According to local authorities, it is dangerous to stay there. Due to the bad weather, the ferry crossing that connects Sakhalin with the mainland of Russia is also being closed. It should be noted that various regions of Russia often suffer from natural disasters. For example, on the night of August 27th, an earthquake occurred in Dagestan. Tremors with a magnitude of 6 were recorded in the Caspian Sea. The residents of Makhachkala felt the earthquake the most. Russia has reduced its maritime oil exports, according to news agencies citing Bloomberg. This happened due to Ukrainian strikes on Russian oil infrastructure and secondary US tariffs against India. It is noted that last week Russian oil shipments by sea fell to a minimum. According to the agency, from August 18 to 24, the aggressor country exported by sea 320,000 barrels less than the week before. During this period, Russia shipped 19 million barrels of oil by sea, while the previous week it was more than 21 million barrels. The reduction in supplies was influenced in particular by Ukrainian drone strikes on the Unecha linear production dispatching station, which supplied oil to the port of Ust-Luga. The publication notes that oil exports were also affected by a drop in purchases from India by more than 500,000 barrels per day. The reason for this is the secondary tariffs imposed by US President Donald Trump. On August 27th, new 50% tariffs came into effect, which Trump imposed on Indian goods, including due to the export of Russian oil. Overall, Russia's revenues from maritime oil exports fell by 9% over the week. Meanwhile, the fuel crisis in several Russian regions continues. According to the Telegram channel Kremlin Snuffbox, the real fuel situation in the south of the aggressor country is close to critical. It is noted that there are significant problems with gasoline in the Rostov region, as well as in the temporarily occupied Crimea. In the Krasnodar region, gasoline reserves at gas stations are rapidly dwindling,